first, a Fox News alert. According to the declassified portion of an Army report, coalition forces have discovered 500 chemical munitions in Iraq. Now, the report from the Army's National Ground Intelligence Center says that containers filled with mustard and sarin gas were discovered, and while they may date to before the first Gulf War, Saddam Hussein had told weapons inspectors that all such weapons were in fact destroyed. It also appears tonight that this might just be the tip of the iceberg. According to the report, more weapons are believed to still exist. Now, the announcement was made just a short time ago by the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Michigan Congressman Peter Hoekstra, and Pennsylvania Republican Senator Rick Santorum. They both join us from Washington tonight. Senator Santorum, let's get into the details of this. What can you tell us tonight?
Well, what we can tell you is that the claims that Saddam Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction at the time of the Iraq War is simply false. This report clearly shows that there were, in fact, a large number of weapons, at least 500, that have been discovered to date, and that those weapons contained sarin and mustard gas, with our obviously nerve agents, that in the case of sarin is lethal.
So, in fact, if anybody was saying now George Bush lied, George Bush hyped, George Bush misled on issues of weapons of mass destruction, and almost every Democratic senator has to date, then in fact they will be factually incorrect, that this is exactly what we suspected he had, and this is only a part of why we went into Iraq, but this is what the president had suspected.
That's exactly right, and Peter said today in our press conference that we knew that he had weapons of mass destruction before the first Iraq War. We knew that he used them after the war on his own people, and we also know from the Delphi report that he in fact had chemical and biological weapons programs in place, and now we know that he also had in his possession chemical weapons.
And Senator, we also know in this particular case that there may be more. Can we comment on that?
Yeah, in fact, I mean, I'll show you the classified document. Right. It's right here, and it says that, in fact, that there are assessed that there are additional weapons that we need to find. I can't go into the details. It's in the classified portion, but there are still great concern about the number of weapons that are still out there.
Congressman, I guess the big question is, apparently this information has been out there for some time, and I applaud both you and Senator Santorum because you had to fight to get it. But there's a big question mark in my mind. Why would you have to fight to give the American people this information, considering so much has been discussed and debated? This is a huge, massive development in my mind, is it not?
Absolutely, Sean. I mean, I think the real question is, why did it take 2 months? And Rick got this information from an unconventional source. Someone outside of the government said, you should go look for this report. Rick looked for it. He called me. I looked for it. And after 8 weeks, we finally got our hands on this report. The real question is, why didn't the intelligence community report to the intelligence committees that this report existed so that we would have this information and we could then make a determination as to whether this was information that right now could be given to the American people?
Senator, is there any chance that beyond the fact that you're saying there may be more and that information may be forthcoming, do we have any information that, in fact, what I had suspected all along, that these weapons that we knew he had, the reason he wouldn't let the inspectors in, and I never doubted for a minute, could it be he shipped some of these to Syria? Is there any indication that we have any evidence to prove that?
There's nothing that I can comment on that I've seen that shows that that's the case. But again, one of the things that again I learned from Peter today, just in our press conference, is that the intelligence community doesn't share information unless you happen to ask the right questions. And maybe I know Peter is looking into asking more questions to try to find out more information.
I would want to, because I think the American people on this particular issue, this is only a part of the reason why we went to Iraq. We have a right to know, and especially if this existed. My question to both of you, and I know some of this is still classified. Congressman, we'll start with you. Senator Santorum, you can answer the same question. What else can you tell us? What else have you discovered? What else is declassified here, sir?
Very little additional material is classified other than what Rick and I have shared with you. I think the other question that you need to ask here, Sean, is if Charlie Dilfer and the Iraqi survey group spent 18 months and found very, very little, over the last 18 months, our troops, by accident, have stumbled across over 500 chemical weapons. What else is there that we don't know about Saddam's
Hey, Congressman and Senator, it's Alan Combs, Senator of the Iraq Survey Group. In fact, let me go to the Delphi report. It says Iraq did not have the weapons that our intelligence believed were there. And Jim Angle, who reported this for Fox News, quotes a defense official who says these were pre-1991 weapons that could not have been fired as designed because they'd already been degraded. And the official went on to say that these are not the WMDs this country and the rest of the world believed Iraq had, and not the WMDs for which this country went to war. So the chest beating that the Republicans are doing tonight, thinking this is a justification, is not confirmed by the Defense Department.
Well, I'd like to know who that Defense Department spokesperson is. The fact of the matter is, I'll wait and see what the actual Defense Department formally says, or more importantly, the administration formally says. This report is very, very clear.
The administration's been silent. Why is that?
You have to ask them. I suspect that they will issue a statement at some point. All I can say is that the report is very clear. These are weapons that are in a variety of different conditions. Some of them are in degraded conditions. Some of them are not. And the point that I think is very important to make with respect to why we went to war, I don't know who this, I assume this Defense Department person didn't vote like Peter Hoekstra and I did. We know why we went to war. We know why we voted.
Well, these are pre-1991 munitions and their shells, and they're degraded according to this official. But let me answer this, Senator.
Let me answer the question.
Let me finish one, and then, Peter, you can go. The bottom line is, we were worried that Saddam Hussein was going to transfer these weapons to the terrorists, and if these terrorists had these weapons, they could be used. They couldn't be maybe fired efficiently, but they certainly could be used in a terrorist incident.
You know, there are those, Senator, who are saying that you're in a tight race. A new survey out today shows distress for you, an 18-point lead by Bob Casey, according to the Quinnipiac poll, and that this is a desperate attempt on your part to reestablish yourself in a race in which you're not doing very well.
Who says that? And that's absolutely unfair. What we're doing, we're not beating our chest today. What we're doing is we're going back after Democrats who were right before they were wrong. They said before the war, and we all knew before the war, that Saddam had chemical weapons of mass destruction. He used them, and he used them extensively. The Dilfer report, the ISG group, clearly laid out the facts that there was an ongoing research and development program. This is one more piece of the puzzle which creates an overwhelming case about how dangerous this regime was.
Well, let me put up what the Iraq Survey Group said, sir. In the final report, it says, well, a small number of old abandoned chemical munitions have been discovered. ISG judges that Iraq unilaterally destroyed its undeclared chemical weapon stockpile in 1991. Do you disagree with that?
Well, I do. We have evidence now that they found 500, and 500 is not a small number.
This is pre-1991, sir. That's what has been claimed. This comports with what the ISG actually said.
They didn't talk about these kinds of quantities, Alan. 15 shells killed an estimated 5,000 people in 1988.
These are degraded. They're pre-1991. They're not deadly. Usable, and they're very much what the ISG actually said. We got to take a break, guys. There's no difference between what the ISG said. There's nothing new here.
Senator, Congressman, great job. And if they're so confident they're degraded, maybe we can drop it off at a liberal's house, see if they'll store it in their garage. Thank you both for a terrific job. This is a big development on this war. Thank you both very much. Now we have a lot more developments throughout the